When you think of most cities, their stories are told through kings and castles, right? But this one's different. Its story is told through brick, iron, and concrete. Today, we're going to dive into the architectural journey of Ostrava, a city that literally forged its identity in the fires of industry and is now reinventing itself for a new century.
And this quote right here, it's really the key to understanding everything about Ostrava. Its story isn't one of effortless elegance. It's about a beauty that was earned, through all the struggle, the hard work, and this incredible, dramatic transformation. This idea really sets the stage for everything we're about to see.
And this slide, wow, it just lays out the core puzzle of the city's story perfectly. On one side, you have the steel heart, an identity built on raw, powerful industry. And on the other, the cultural hub, a modern city bursting with creativity and innovation. So how in the world do you get from one to the other? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
So let's rewind and go right back to the beginning. Before all the smoke and all the steel, Ostrava was, well, a pretty quiet, unassuming place. But then one single discovery, deep under the ground, was about to change its destiny forever. I mean, think about it. For more than 500 years, Ostrava was basically just a couple of small towns kind of growing slowly along a river. But then, boom, late 18th century, everything changed with the discovery of coal. And this wasn't just any resource. This was black gold. This was the fuel for the entire Industrial Revolution, and Ostrava was sitting on a mountain of it.
So with all this coal, a brand new architectural language just exploded across the city. We're talking about industrial architecture. And let me tell you, this style was not about looking pretty. It was all about one thing: getting the job done. Think massive brick buildings, exposed iron frames, and towering chimneys. Structures designed as powerful, efficient machines.
And it's this raw, powerful, function-over-form architecture that gave Ostrava its famous nickname. The absolute heart of this new identity was the Vitavice Ironworks. I mean, this place was so huge, so important, it became the symbolic steel heart for the entire country's industrial might.
Yeah, and Vitkovica wasn't just some factory. No way. It was a complete self-contained universe. It had its own coal mines and blast furnaces, sure, but it also had worker housing, offices, railways, even its own schools and hospitals. It was a true city within a city, built from the ground up to serve one master, the engine of industry. Okay, so you've got this massive industrial boom, but what did that actually mean for the people who powered it all? Because the architecture didn't just change the skyline, it shaped the everyday lives of the tens of thousands of workers who poured into the city looking for jobs. So to house this flood of new workers, the city threw up these entire neighborhoods called worker colonies. Now, architecturally, they were simple, they were practical, and they were built on repeat. The conditions, yeah, they could be pretty tough, but you know what? These dense, look-alike neighborhoods also created these incredibly strong, tight-knit communities. But here's the thing. Ostrava didn't want to be just a factory town. As the money started rolling in, the city began this fascinating search for a more refined identity. And you can literally see this struggle playing out in the clash of different architectural styles that started popping up all over the place. Just look at this contrast. It's wild. On one hand, you've got the late 19th century trying so hard to look like a grand European city, right? All these decorative details, arches, columns, the whole 9 yards. But then, just a few decades later, after World War I, the whole philosophy does a complete 180 to functionalism, a style that threw out all the decoration for clean lines, simple shapes, and pure efficiency. Okay, so fast forward past World War II. Another massive shift happens when Czechoslovakia falls under communist rule. And now, architecture wasn't just about style anymore, it became a tool of ideology. The new buzzwords, control, mass efficiency, and a state-enforced idea of what equality looked like. And the absolute poster child for this era? The Panelák. These are these huge, and I mean huge, apartment buildings made from pre-built concrete panels. They were slapped together super quick, super cheap, creating these vast identical housing estates that, to this day, really define Ostrava's skyline. And then this year happens, 1989, the Velvet Revolution, the fall of communism. And with it, the entire house of cards comes crashing down. The centrally planned heavy industry, the thing that had been Ostrava's whole reason for existing for almost 200 years, evaporates.
And just like that, the city's engine went silent. The mines closed, the blast furnaces went cold. The very identity of Ostrava was gone, leaving behind this landscape of silent, rusting industrial giants. The whole city was left asking this massive, terrifying question: what now?
All right, so what happens next is, for me, the most incredible part of Ostrava's entire story. Faced with all these industrial ruins, the city made a really bold choice. They decided not to bulldoze their past, but to embrace it and actually transform it into their future.
And they had this really clear three-step game plan. Step 1, acknowledge these ruins as heritage, not junk. Step 2, preserve their raw, powerful character. And step 3, give them a new life for culture, for education, for the community. Honestly, it was a totally revolutionary way of thinking about urban renewal, and it's what made Ostrava famous around the world.
And would you look at the results? Just spectacular. They took this enormous old gas holder, hollowed it out, and turned it into this incredible state-of-the-art concert hall called the Gong. An old blast furnace? Now it's a museum with a viewing tower right on top. This isn't just fixing things up. This is a full-on creative rebirth.
So, the Ostrava you'd see today is this amazing hybrid. It proudly shows off its industrial monuments right next to these slick new glass buildings. They've woven green spaces back into the city, and it's become a hub for innovation, all while still honoring that steel heart that got everything started.
So, when you boil it all down, we come back to this central idea. Ostrava's architecture is, above all else, honest. It doesn't try to hide its scars or its tough as nails history. Nope, it wears them like a badge of honor.
And that really is the ultimate takeaway here. The beauty of Ostrava isn't about perfect facades or delicate ornaments. Its beauty is in its powerful, meaningful story of survival, of adaptation, and of reinvention, a story that's told by every single factory, every worker's cottage, and every reborn steel tower.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. Ostrava's story is written in steel. It proves that every building, everywhere, has a story to tell. And it challenges us, really, to look at our own cities a little differently, to look past the surface and just ask, what story are the buildings around us telling every single day?